Hello and welcome to the Yerky Boys. May the Cantrona shine and strengthen us. My name is Will.
My name is Jonathan.
And we are the Yerky Boys.
Wow.
This is an exciting episode.
We are. I'm sorry, I'm crying.
We're here in person today.
Oh, wow. That's why I'm tears of joy in my eyes.
Tears of joy.
I look slightly to my right, and there you are.
Here I am.
There you are. Again. We're here. Why are we together?
We are here today to play Animorphs board games, specifically Animorphs The Invasion board game.
That's right. Or just Invasion Game.
The Invasion Game?
Yeah.
The Invasion Game.
That's right. Top 3 games. Number 3, the Invasion Game.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, the Dating Game.
Okay.
And number 1, the Crying Game.
Those are good games.
I'd say those are the top 3.
It's probably the top 3.
Oh, you know what? Bonus honorable mention?
Mm-hmm.
The Game.
Oh.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Sorry, millennials.
You got me.
Y'all just lost the game.
Yeah, I lost the game.
Come on, we have to get serious today.
Yeah,
we can't be goofing around this much. This is too much. No, no sharing this week.
No sharing.
I don't think.
That's too bad. That's too
bad.
bad.
Was there? Did I look?
But yes, this is one of what 2 games we're going to eventually be playing on the podcast.
Back to back.
Back to back. This one is more of a classical board game, I suppose. Tell me a little bit about this game, Jonathan.
Well, Animorphs The Invasion Game was released in 1998, published by Milton Bradley. Remember them?
Milton Bradley.
Who I believe is now owned by Hasbro, or became Hasbro, or Hasbro owns anything like that now. I don't know. Is that true? Look it up. Figure it out for yourself.
Aren't you the board game guy? Shouldn't you know this stuff?
The designer of this game, you know who it is?
No.
You don't?
I don't.
Oh, damn. That would have been helpful because nobody knows.
Oh.
There's no credits in this game other than the publishing label. We don't know who made it.
Could have been K.A. Applegate.
I mean, this is before... a lot of old board games, especially licensed one like this, nobody really gave a shit who made them. There was nobody was like, ooh, I want to learn about the latest Uwe Rosenberg. Oh, Rainer Knizia. Ah, yes.
I'm assuming those are board game people.
Oh, Vladach Fatil. Oh, I love him. These are all board game designers.
Wow. You're kind of a buff.
Should I give the folks my bona fides?
Yeah, do it.
Thanks for listening, by the way. If you have any questions or comments about Animorphs board games or anything else, you can always email us, theyerkyboys@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No.
I wasn't putting my finger up to stop you. It was just a natural affectation. And we've also got a Patreon page and special treat for patrons this week. I think I'm just going to say this as though we're doing this. If you go to patreon.com/theyerkyboys, we have bonus footage of us playing this week's game. About an hour, 45 minutes to an hour of us playing this game. So there's no video podcast like the video game episodes. It's all audio, but you can watch us video and audio unboxing this actual game and learning it for the first time.
And it probably doesn't even suck that much.
Yeah. That should be our slogan. It probably doesn't even suck that much. Sounds like my wife.
Come on.
I fucking hate her.
Come on. I promise everyone the podcast is usually better than this.
Sorry. A lot of people will be tuning in for the first time this week because they're big board game fans.
Right. Everyone wants to know about this game.
Here's the deal. I'm a big board game player. You notice when it comes to the games on this show, it's my area of expertise.
Yeah, you're really a gamer.
I'm really
just
a gamer.
in general.
And listeners may not know this. I don't know if I've ever said it on the show. Why would I really have a reason to? But at one time, I was the co-host of a board game channel called Roll for Crit, which still exists today without me. But this was a YouTube channel. There was a podcast. At one point, we had a retail store. So for several years, really my life revolved very much around playing, reviewing, going to conventions, steeped in the board game world. And in the other room, Will can attest, I have
a lot.
So I've gotten rid of a lot in the last couple of years, but there's probably still somewhere in the range of 150 to
Yeah.
200 board games.
There's a wall. There's a board game wall.
Yeah, if you're a board gamer, you get it. Or if you've seen. We have a savvy audience.
Mm-hmm.
They know about the hobby.
They get it. They understand.
They know it's not Monopoly.
Right.
They know it's the real
Parcheesi.
shit. They know it's fucking Oath.
Sure.
Return to Dark Tower.
Like the Stephen King.
Agricola. Fucking motherfucking Pandemic. You know what it is. Anyway,
okay.
All that is to say,
I'm just gonna rein you in a little bit.
I'm coming into this hot with board game knowledge, but you're not a board gamer, my friend.
I mean, I've played some board games occasionally.
You have a weekly board game group where you have been playing Gloomhaven or Frosthaven for the past several years.
Sure, that's true.
That makes you a board gamer.
I suppose it does. But that's only one specific board game. That's not like a wide range. I've played other ones with you, very specifically. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I can bring the same level of expertise,
No, I suppose not. Who could hope to do that? Anyway, so there you go. That's your fun little tidbits to get you started.
Yeah, there you go. That's our backgrounds with regards to board gaming.
Yeah.
So we do have some idea what we're talking about.
Board gaming.
That's what our audience is thinking right now. They're like, fucking get to it. I don't give a shit about this. I want to hear about Animorphs.
Get to it. We're only 8 minutes in. This is the fastest we've ever
Marco
gotten.
and Cassie and Jake and Rachel. I want to hear, is
Who
Tobias
else?
in this game? What about
Axe?
Axe? Who knows?
Don't know.
Mysteries abound.
Well, you know what? Before we get to the game,
Mm.
because this is important to talk about. Obviously, this game is not in print any longer.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing 2 tabletop games this week and next week based on Animorphs, and both of them I got on eBay months ago because I wanted to make sure, I wanted to procure them because I didn't know about shipping times, and I also didn't want to get stuck last minute and the only copy we could find cost like $200. I wanted to see if I could make sure I got in early to find the deals. So I would say if you're someone out there who is curious about this game and has not played it or doesn't have it, and you want to complete your Animorphs collection, this one, the Invasion game, is not super rare, I don't think. From what I've seen, you can generally find this pretty easily on eBay or a local marketplace. I would say in the range of $20 to $30, depending on condition. Some of them might be like missing a card or something, that's whatever, how it goes. Now, this version that we got was sealed in plastic.
Mm-hmm.
I think the final price I did was like $30 or $35 that I got it for, which is pretty good, I thought. Yeah, considering it's in plastic.
Right. Sealed. Yeah. And this is a 30-year-old game. It's out of print. That does not sound bad at all.
No, I was pretty pleased with this. That's why I did the hunting, you see, early on.
Mm-hmm.
So we opened the box up, and inside, all the pieces were not punched out. You'll see if you are on the Patreon, you'll see us. We unbox it, we punch it out, we set everything up, we open the cards. As we were saying before, though, I don't know. Part of me is skeptical about the idea of a game this old still being in plastic, being on eBay. I don't know because people have shrink wrap machines.
Yeah. And the plastic didn't feel like, I don't know.
It was a little weird.
It was a little weird. That's right. And and I think one of the card packages inside was like the packaging on it had split open and cards were coming out, but it like had all the cards, and one of the other card packages was fine. So I don't know.
You're bearing the lead a little because there's 2 card packages. There's only supposed to be one. Our copy has 2 of the same cards.
Yes, yeah, both of them were the same. Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's a printing mistake or if every copy came with a backup just in case or what. But the things being still in the cardboard, I feel like you can't fake that. that makes me think. I mean, it wouldn't be worth faking, I don't think. Like, who are they trying to fool? Like, ha ha ha, all those Animorphs fans, I'm going to be rich because they think that this is sealed. $30 in my pocket, you know? Like, why go through that trouble to lie about that for that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Don't know.
So maybe plastic wrap was just weird in 1998, or maybe like over the years it warps or something.
Yeah, I would believe that sort of degrades and isn't as good.
We'll see, because the card game that we're doing next week also I have in shrink wrap.
Okay.
And I'm curious if that is also, if we believe it or not. But that's for next week. But anyway, that's how we played this. So this was like we really got the experience that you technically can't get anymore officially. I don't know how many sealed copies of this game still exist in the world, right? I mean, there's not that many.
I mean, it's only $30. It's got to be a number of them, right?
I don't know. I didn't see many on eBay. Most of them were opened. But we got the full experience like you would have gotten in 1998 if you asked Mommy and Daddy for the Animorphs board game for Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa. They'd give it to you, and you would open it up, and you'd be so excited. We got that.
I suppose we did. It was exciting. I was very excited. I got to see
sound excited.
Everything, all the pieces. You get to take them out. Isn't that fun? Isn't that great?
Good commentary.
Yeah, I mean, listen. You're Mr. Board Game. You love setting up board games. You love getting new pieces.
I love it. Oh, I love
it. I don't know. It's fine. There's pieces.
I love reading that rule
But then we
book.
could play the game maybe, and that could be fun.
Let's explain the game, shall we?
Yes, let's talk about this game.
You want to read the back of the box for folks?
Yeah, good idea.
If you saw this at your KB Toys, here's what it would have said.
Yes, it would say, "The invasion has begun," in big letters there. Then there's Tobias. He's flying over the map here. And, we get the little thought speech brackets. He says, "My name is Tobias. I'm trapped in a hawkmorph, so I fly cover for my friends, Jake, Rachel, Cassie, and Marco. This is a pretty important mission. See, the Yeerks are everywhere. If we can't stop them, they'll take over the whole planet. We could use a little help." And then we get a description here. "Join the Animorphs. Jake, Rachel, Cassie, Marco, and Tobias. As they fight off," and Tobias, take note.
Yep,
they don't always include Tobias.
All of them.
But they're all here. So it says, "As they fight off the deadly alien invaders, head for the trouble spots like the mall, the school, and the beach. Choose the quickest path, land, air, or sea. Then use a morph card to acquire an animal DNA and make the changes. Will you travel as an ant, an eagle, or maybe a dolphin? Change again and again to your best advantage. At each danger zone, battle Yeerks, Hork-Bajir, Taxons, and maybe Visser 3 himself to collect a card. Once you have 3 cards, morph into an elephant and destroy the Kandrona Ray generator to win." So that's the game. That's how you play.
Yeah. So, the title of the game is sort of misleading. You might think it's based on the first book.
Yeah, The Invasion.
It's really based on
a lot of books.
Sure, but like the EGS towers, the driving thrust of the game.
I suppose that's true, yeah.
I don't remember which one that is.
That would be book 7, The Stranger.
7, The Stranger. Right. Well, is it The Stranger, or isn't that when they find out? They come back to it?
Well, see, the thing is...
I can't remember.
They find out about it. And then now that they've spent the whole book doing that, we get one chapter where they go in and smash it.
That's what happens. Right. Do they come back to the tower? Or am I just thinking because the TV show did that?
I don't think they come back to the tower.
Right. Okay, well, it's a big part of
towers.
This book.
Yeah. Everyone loves the EGS tower in these things.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good...
Yeah.
We didn't find out what that stands for, did we? We have to go back and listen.
No, I don't think so.
So but that is what you're doing. That is the premise of the game.
Yes.
You are competing.
Yes.
So it's for 2 to 4 players. Everybody picks one of the 4 Animorphs. Tobias is just helping in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
He's a neutral party.
That's right.
As is Axe. We'll find out.
Right. Axe will help at some point.
And so you're Jake, Cassie, Marco, or Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has 6 morph cards for the same animals. which are, you said some of them: ant, dolphin, eagle, bear, elephant, tiger.
Yes. That's correct.
Those are the ones.
Yes.
Everybody has them.
Mm-hmm. They're pretty cool.
Notice, still no gorilla.
Yes. Still no gorilla.
No gorilla for Marco. Anyway, and you can go online, folks, if you check out, just Google it, check Zeropedia if you want to see photos, or if you're not on our Patreon to see our video. Otherwise, we'll do our best to describe what this looks like for you. The board is a series of pathways, each with different colored paths, all connecting different spaces. Some of those spaces on the paths are just generic little circles where you can stop at. Some of them are cubes, which are the spots where you can morph. Presumably they're Escafil devices because, you use those to morph.
Of course.
And then there are pyramids that are labeled with locations like the school, the mall, whatever. They're not.
Yes.
It's not an illustration of that place.
No.
It's just it's a pyramid.
Now underneath there is like a very like blued out map of like a town that you can't really make out the detail too well on because of all the crap on top of it.
Where is the map? What do you? I'm looking at
like
the
if you just look, there's like buildings under, there's
in the background
like
of the art on the board.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Which in theory could have been, more of the main art, but it's not.
Now, does it also? Yeah, just other than maybe there is a slight change for if you're colorblind. I do think that each circle on the different paths has a slightly different shape to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're like the eagles look like clouds,
etc.
Or they're like, I think the ant ones are a little smaller.
Yes.
Just thought about that.
So I don't know if you said it, but all of the paths have specific animals you can only travel on them for. So if you're an ant, then you have to take the ant paths, which I guess are tunnels or something, but they have more squares to get to a place because, the ant is slower. If you're an eagle, then you can take only the eagle paths, but that goes there faster because you fly fast, and so on. If you're like a human or an elephant or a lion, tiger,
or a bear,
then you're taking this basic orange path.
Yes,
and so on.
Of your 6 morphs, including human, 7 if you count human, 4 of your forms are all on one path.
Yes,
it's ant, dolphin, and eagle that are really specialized. And dolphin really is only up at the top of the board by the beach. I mean, that makes sense.
Beach, the ocean, the lake.
There is a lake, because that's your first thought, of course, if you're going to a lake. Dolphin.
Yeah, of course.
So on your turn, you roll a die. You can move up to that amount of spaces you rolled. And each turn, 3 of those sites that are actually named will be randomly picked and will be active. And that means that if you go there, there's a mission and you can try to fight the Yeerks there. And the way that you do that is you must be in a morph, and there will be a card that tells you, for example, if you're at the beach, the dolphin, you need to roll this number to do it. Dolphin's probably going to be the best thing if you're at a water place. Or it might be Chapman's house. Hey, you need to be an ant to sneak into Chapman's house. You'll get better odds. And you roll 2 dice, and if you hit the number required or higher, you conquered that area. You get a card showing you that you conquered it. And once you have 3 of those cards completed, then you can go to the EGS tower and do basically the same thing to win.
Yes.
Except that Visser 3 is there and you have to roll like a higher number, but it's the same thing.
Right. And you have to be an elephant for EGS
You
tower.
have to be an elephant, yeah. Which is really... Actually, I don't know. Do any of the missions... Oh, yeah, some of them are good for elephants.
I feel like elephant on most of the mission is like mediocre at best.
Yeah, it's really just for the final boss.
Yeah, so like you can be an elephant earlier, but yeah. But yes, on the back, I had said you're going to those locations. You're fighting Yeerks, you're fighting Taxons, you're fighting Hork-Bajir. That's not really what it is. So it's a little confusing because you might think that you're going to have an encounter, but no, you're going to land on construction site, and you're going to have a mission, crush a Yeerk bug fighter with an earth mover, then escape from Visser 3. And then, that might be easier. As a tiger, you only have to roll a 4 because I guess tigers can drive earth movers and escape. But as an ant, you have to roll 9 because ants don't do a good job driving earth movers, for example.
Correct. And there's no re-rolls. There's no way to get, bonuses to your dice. It is just you roll 2 dice and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing you can do to improve that. It's pure luck.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes. Well, you
Other
can...
than being the bright morph.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can improve it, which is to leave and come back as a better morph.
Right. And it is a race because once you do one of these locations, it goes away. So you're trying to get to the ones that are best for you before the other players, because whoever gets 3 first can go to the end.
Yes.
There's also cards, individual cards that you have that you can play on your turn. You need to have cards to morph. So you can't just decide to be a bear. You must have either a wild morph or a specific bear morph card. And then there's cards with effects like you could steal cards from another player. You can move a Visser 3 and he'll kind of block locations, make them harder to do.
Yes. If Visser 3 is in any location other than the EGS tower, you can only do the mission as an ant because otherwise he's too scary.
Right.
He beats you. You have to escape him.
And of course, ants are usually not that good at. Do you have to be an ant to do the mission, or do you have to be an ant to get rid of him and then you can do the mission?
According to that thing just said you can only do missions or you can only. That's how I read it.
In order to battle on a mission space, you must be an ant form.
Yes.
Anyway, so he's annoying, unless you put him somewhere that wants an ant, and then it's not that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of got the thrust of it. Now you'll see if you watch our Patreon video, we did get the rules wrong.
Yes.
In 2 important areas. Well, I would argue one of the 2 areas, in my opinion, is still ambiguous. One of them we did get just flat out wrong, which is only you must have the 3 missions completed to fight EGS Tower. Otherwise, you cannot. In our video, you'll see us do this wrong. That it seems, and I blame this on the rule book. This is not our fault.
Yeah, I agree.
The rules are poorly written.
We're very intelligent.
But in the section of the rule book that pertains to EGS Tower, it sounds like once one person gets 3, EGS Tower becomes active and anybody can go there. Not the case.
That sure is what it reads as in one section of it.
But if you read the beginning, it is clearer. Only the person with 3 can go there. So it is very much a race in that sense.
Yes.
And then the other thing was, and this one I think is a little bit more ambiguous, but we initially were playing it so that you could morph on a morph space and then continue moving on the same turn.
Mm-hmm.
And now we think, no, you must be stood still at the morph space, either at the beginning or end of your turn, and then continue on.
Yes. And I think that leads to a lot more like decisions that you have to make as opposed to just roll die and go where it is. And also there's a number of cards that don't really seem like they do much unless you're forcing somebody to use a morph station again. So I do think that is the correct way to play, but in the rules it is written fairly ambiguously.
I mean, this is the nature of these games that came out in the 90s. They're for kids.
Yeah.
Nobody really cared. If you it didn't matter. Tom Vassell wasn't reviewing the Animorphs Invasion game. Nobody cared.
Yeah, there were probably maybe 1 or possibly 2 people on these rules. Nobody's going through and doing a pass and saying like, does this make sense?
Right.
Yeah.
The fact that it's playable at all should be considered a victory. That's basically the game. I mean, there's a few more cards that we didn't talk about. Like you can, if someone tries to move Visser 3, you can cancel the movement with the Elemist.
Yeah, so I don't think we really talked about those cards. So there's the morph cards, which you have, and then you have 1 active at any time. You have to use your other cards to do that. Now, you have a hand of 5 cards at all times. You can play up to 2 of them per turn. And at the end of your turn, you draw back up to 5.
Right.
And those cards are what allow you to turn into a morph, or they might, as you said, move Visser 3 to a new location. You might be able to use the Elemist to cancel it. You can use Tobias to warn the other player that they have to morph out because their 2-hour time limit is here. You can go to Siberia. You might remember that from the TV show and get some, what do they call it? It's
chat room info.
Chat room info, and take a card from your opponent.
One of your opponents.
There can be a Hork-Bajir and Taxon attack that just lets you move yourself to a morph space. It's good when they attack, I guess. And finally, we have our old pal Axe, who can double your movement.
That's right.
We love Axe.
Those are the cards, folks. That's how they work. And yeah, as you said, you can play, as the rulebook words it, 1 or 2 cards on your turn, which is a terrible way to put it.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yes.
It should say up to 2.
Yeah, and I feel like it even was more ambiguous than that. It said something like, at any time you may play 1 or 2 cards or something like that.
Yes, it says at any time on your turn.
Which kind of implies...
Which is why we thought you could do it in the middle of moving.
Yeah.
Yes. It's not well worded.
Also, there's almost this implication here that's like you can play 1 card as many times as you like, so long as you never play more than 2 at a time. Because at any time you may play 1 or 2. Like, I don't know. I just like you obviously that can't be what they mean, but it's not. That is not the right way to phrase that.
This is the problem when, they didn't anticipate 30-something board game people like analyzing this rule book. No. Little kids are just like, I don't know. I'm Jake. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
they don't know.
100%. The problem is that it's not a problem. The little kid is just going to do whatever the hell they want, and it doesn't really matter. And who cares? And they'll have a good time because they're Jake.
Let's start with, why don't we start with the look of this game?
Sure.
The aesthetics.
The aesthetics. Yes. First impressions, taking this game out of the box and looking at the board.
Well, before you even open the box, right? On that front cover, this game comes with 24 lenticular morphing cards.
Yes. Oh, I don't think we said that the morphing cards are lenticular yet.
Yeah, now we did. And they're very proud of this because the cover of this game has no art. It looks like a giant fingerprint in the background. What is that?
Yes, that's true. That is what that looks like to me.
And then there's literally just text. And in the center of the box is a 25th morphing. I believe it is literally a card fused to the box.
Sure feels like it.
And I don't know if on Ceropedia they have a picture of Marco turning into a bear. Ours is turning into an eagle. So I guess they just stuck random ones. Collect them all. Collect all 24 box arts. This is really the laziest cover.
Yeah.
It just took one of they're so proud of these cards. They're like, this is our selling point.
Lenticular, though.
Yeah. As you move it looks like the kid is morphing.
Oh, is that what that means?
That's what that means.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now I understand. I do love there's a little arrow pointing at the cover that says, try it. They really want you to pick this up in the store and go, oh my God, he turns into a bird.
That's a toy selling point,
yeah.
Right? They're doing their job a little bit. They could have, though, drawn something on this box.
Yeah.
They had really no budget for art, it's clear. Because the board and the box, there's some art on the cards you play and the morphing cards, that's art.
They could have put at least like the characters on the morphing cards on the cover. Like,
yes.
I think by far not the animals, but the characters on the lenticular cards is like the most interesting art in the game. The whole
cover could have been lenticular. Could have been like all 6 of them and a cool thing you get to do.
Lenticular.
It could have been like
liking, yeah.
It could have been like a portrait from, like a Megamorphs or something, and you like see all of them morphing as you turn it. That'd be sick.
It would be pretty sick.
What would Axe turn into, though? He doesn't turn into things.
Yeah. Well, he's not in this game. He's on a card.
So anyway, that is clearly their biggest selling point. Like the mechanics of this game were secondary to the cards that look cool. It does say, make the change, kick Yerk butt, destroy the Kandrona. Is make the change a slogan?
I don't know.
They use it a lot.
Every single morphing card in this game says make the change in big letters on it.
It also says watch Animorphs on Nickelodeon TV.
Yes.
Which we should note because the game, once again, I'm going to say definitely not the illustrations of the characters are not inspired by the actors.
No, the only thing in here that feels inspired by the show at all is the Siberia card.
If it weren't for that card, I would not assume this had any relation to the show.
Yeah.
Or that they even knew about the show.
Yeah, 100%.
There's
a lot of references to the books, but there's very little in terms of the show here. I'm trying to see if because I feel like even the rule book says make the change.
It does say it I think under the morphing sections, it's like, in order to make the change.
Yeah.
I think there's a chance that the Siberia card might just be a coincidence. They just like, maybe it's in a book and we forgot. Maybe they do say it at some point. I don't know. I don't feel like they do, but maybe they do.
I think so.
But like, it's just like, do they even make it clear that it's called Siberia in the show until like season 2? I feel like it was an Easter, like we had to squint to notice that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that was a design note. You have to include the show somehow. There's a show out. We're trying to advertise it.
I think that's just, if you're asking a boardroom to come up with the name of an internet cafe, that's just what they always will come up with.
That's probably true.
Siberia,
yes.
I guess.
Yeah. It's not the only Siberia I know of in fiction.
Okay, so that's the bot. Then you unfold this board, which I have to say is one of the least appealing things I've ever looked at.
It doesn't look very good.
It is a mess of tangled paths of different colors, as we said, with cubes and pyramids. And there's, other than this weird map in the background that I didn't even notice until you brought it up, it's got, which I guess now that I'm looking at it, it does like if you look at the school, that is the school in the background.
I mean, that's
Gardens has a roller coaster.
Why I noticed it, because I was like, oh, wouldn't it have been fun if they'd used that art? You know, I know I'm at the Gardens because there's a roller coaster, and it's not like they didn't make that art. It's there. They could have used it.
I mean, I understand. Yeah, like they wanted it to have strong contrast so you can easily tell where the actual paths are. So I understand why the background's like a weird green, but just the lake should be a fucking lake.
Yeah.
It should look like a blue circle.
Yeah.
It doesn't,
it's all
it shouldn't
pyramids
be
and shit.
Yeah, this pyramid, this blue and orange with just the words, the lake on it and the woods. Because while I'm playing, I'm not enjoying this background art in any way.
No, you don't. You basically don't notice it.
If it was designed in such a way that I could see that background, then I wouldn't care they were all pyramids, because I would understand it's just marking a location. But I just like, which pyramid am I going to? It completely robs this of its theme.
Yeah, I do think it would be a lot better if you had a harder time seeing the paths in exchange for the map looks like an Animorphs town, right? I mean, especially if this is supposed to be a game for kids. Like, this is not some like crazy super game that, 30-year-olds are supposed to love. If you're a little kid, you want to take out the map. Like, I got this for Christmas, as you said, let's pretend.
Sure.
And I haven't had any friends over yet. I'm opening it the day of. Yeah, sure. Or because it's the day of. I unfold the thing, I look at it, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh man, there's the barn. I can take out the Cassie. Here she is. She's going around. Whatever. You can't do that. Like, this is just for playing a game. If you're not playing this game, there's no reason to look at it.
I can tell you from experience of having a sad, lonely childhood, being a sad little boy with a bunch of shitty, the kinds of board games kids have in the 90s. Shark Attack. Remember that one?
That sounds like something, but
I had a bunch of I had an Aladdin game that I thought was amazing. I loved Aladdin. We had a Wizard of Oz game. We had a Full House board game.
You had a lot of crazy games that I did not have.
Had, like Monopoly Junior.
No wonder you're a
Clue.
Board gamer.
I think we had Clue Junior as well. Yeah. But anyway, nobody would ever play these games with me. Nobody liked them. It's just like today. The same. It's me being like, guys, can we play a game? And everyone's...
No, of course not.
No one's there. I'm alone.
Maybe I'd show up if I didn't have to drive all the way out here, but...
And I would... unironically, like, just take a game out sometimes, and just like you'd play with a dollhouse or action figures, I would just like use it like a play set.
Yeah, of course.
It's not like Mousetrap. I mean, some of them were built for that,
right?
Because they're fun.
Yeah, how could you not?
Life. It would just be like, I'll just have a life. This is my life.
That's your life now. That's probably a better life.
And maybe I still would have done that with this game if I had it and was a kid who loved Animorphs and like, you know, you just got to use your imagination. It's all you got.
Yeah.
But it certainly is not making it easy for you to do that. You have to put the effort in. You do get the 3D EGS tower. That's a 3D building that does go on the board. And Visser 3 is a standee. All the kids are just colored pawns, so they suck.
Yeah, the kids are not fun. But now Visser 3's little standee cutout, he is the 8 creature with 8 heads.
Are we sure? Does he have 8 heads? He's on here.
That's a good question.
It looks more like the thing from, it actually looks exactly like the thing you fight at the end of Animorphs Know the Secret, which I think maybe is supposed to be that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 6 legs.
I only see 4 heads.
I think it is supposed to be the thing with that thing.
It's
just
a thing.
That it's a
thing. I
don't
know. It's a fucking thing.
It's basically that, but it might not actually have 8.
And everybody has a card holder.
It does look exactly like the thing from Know the Secret.
It has to be from some art. That had to originate somewhere.
Yeah.
That's from something. Yeah, that is 100% that thing.
Yeah, because there's no way they independently came up with this design.
This was probably based on some promo, some old thing from an Animorphs ad. Maybe we could find it if we wanted to, but we're not going to look. Yeah, and so it would be really cool. I mean, if this were a modern thing, you might have actual 3D pieces for each location, but you don't even need that. The problem is if they had, for instance, tried to use the actual map, which, by the way, I wonder, like, where did they get this map? Like, is this based on something or somebody just made that, I guess?
I don't think so.
You could use that for the locations, roughly. That's kind of where they are on the board. But all those paths don't really make sense. Like, why can the eagle only fly? Like, shouldn't the eagle just go, like, across the board? You know? Yeah. So you kind of have to ignore the background in order to make the paths make sense.
Yeah, to some degree. I mean, you could...
Without putting more effort in.
Yeah, you would have to put more effort in. I mean, that is something else I was thinking here, is because the paths are so wild and bendy and, like, convoluted looking.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have a feeling that they are wobbling around and bending around more than they, like, actually, like, structurally do.
You think is it just to hide... So you can't, just by looking at it, easily figure out what the best path is?
Yeah, or like, especially if you're a kid, you think there's so many ways you could go. It's crazy. It goes everywhere. And it's like, there's here to here to here.
Right.
Sure. If you just straightened them out and pretend they didn't do that.
Like, if you're a kid, you might just go, oh, I know, I'll be a bear now. Even if it's not strategically matters. You're just like, that's cool.
I want to be a bear. Yeah.
Yeah, whereas we're just like, well, pretty much... Eagle is the best card to get anywhere in the game.
Yeah, you want to be an eagle to get places, but you don't want to be an eagle to fight, so you...
Usually.
So you probably want to, like, change partway there at some point, stop off.
But there's no area on the board Eagle doesn't cover well. Ants are, like, the only reason to be an ant is if a mission requires it. Because they're just slower. They just take longer.
Yeah, ants take forever to get there, but there are some missions that really want you to be an ant, and also you can only do a mission when Visser 3 is there as an ant.
Right.
So that's why you would do it. But that's, And that's fine.
Sure, that's fine. That's fine. And then I think Dolphin is the shittiest because it's only at the top of the board. There's like 5 spaces where you can even be a dolphin. I feel like we never... went up there. I mean, there are a few locations up there that could come up as missions, so it could be important. But like the beach, you can be an eagle too, and I think it's not that much worse than a dolphin. I don't know.
No, it's a lot better to be a dolphin at the beach. I did in our second game. I did base part of my strategy around turning into a dolphin because I was like, well, you would have to do that.
But I don't like that. Depending on which missions come up and what you're doing, especially because remember, we played 2 players, and we'll talk about if there were 4 people on the board, the missions would be moving around a lot more.
Right.
I don't like that there's a good chance dolphin just doesn't matter to you. Like, one of your Animorphs you might never need to engage with. That feels silly. Like, it should have just been, or there should have just been a few more, I don't know, something to make that feel more balanced. It feels wrong that it's like, basically, I'm an eagle, and then just whatever I am. It's not very. There's very little strategic decision making about which animal you're going to be.
Yes, yeah. I mean, there's a little bit, but it's more about if you're making strategic decisions. It's more about like how many turns do I want to take to get here? Like, do I want to take a turn off from being an eagle so that I can turn into a bear, so that I only have to roll a 6 instead of an 8, or do I just want to get there and try to roll the 8? And then, but that's about it. Like, it doesn't. You're not saying like, oh, I could be an ant or I could be an eagle or a bear. Like, you're kind of right. The strategy is this very dry, like tempo based thing, and not I'm a kid and I want to turn into a thing.
Yeah, which I guess is our transition to the mechanics. Did we need to say anything else aesthetically?
I mean, I guess we didn't. Some of the art on these cards, we didn't really talk about, like the Animorphs and their poses on the lenticulars.
They are. So the lenticulars are cool. It's not just I don't think it's just a transition. Like, there is a little bit of, you do kind of see the kid taking the shape gradually of the animal, right?
I don't think so.
No? Would I just fool myself into believing it?
I think you just fooled yourself into believing it.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it does do a decent job fooling you.
Okay, but still, I do think it looks cool. It is the best part of this game.
No, definitely there is some level of that, at least on some of them. It might not be on all of them. Yeah, okay. Maybe it's just the dolphin.
Because dolphin's shape is too weird or something?
Yeah, because like I look at the dolphin and it looks like it's just going from one to the other, but I look at all the others and it doesn't look like that. It looks like they are, in fact, going through different stages.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I definitely think so. Yeah, like gradually they do change to fit the shape. That is, I mean, that's cool.
It is cool.
The art of the characters, I guess, is fine.
I think that they are fun. I like that they're all doing these weird poses. Jake's like punching or something at the camera. Rachel's like holding up her hands like claws. They all have these weird hand things going on.
Some of these are definitely, the eagle is the same as the dolphin. There's no...
Okay.
So some of them, they just ran out of time. Like the ant is cool. The ant actually looks like stages.
Yeah.
But yeah, on all of them, I think it's the eagle and the dolphin. They were like, we did enough. That one, we don't have time to make it look cool.
Yeah. And I think we should talk about Axe's art too.
Yes, Axe is on one of the cards, of course. I think I've seen this art before too. Maybe.
Are you sure it wasn't just like looking through general art and seeing something from this
game? It looks, you know what it looks like kind of is those puzzles, which we'll be talking about later. I think this art exists maybe, but yeah, it does look a bit weird. It's not how we picture Axe from the books. He has like big ridges on his head. He's also got kind of a furry part around his tail, which is strange. I don't know what's going on with his torso.
Yeah, he's got...
What the fuck is that?
Scale abs or something? I don't...
Does he have like bullets? Like a vest of bullets? He does have 7 fingers. I'll give him that.
That's pretty cool.
And I guess the Hork-Bajir, the Taxons.
Yeah, the Taxon's pretty similar, but the Hork-Bajir, they added like a crazy trident to its tail, and they've got like extra blades on their arms. They look neat.
Yeah, they're kind of cool. So I mean, that art is functional. It's fine.
But I'm starting to wonder now if you're saying that Axe artist from elsewhere, if all of this isn't pulled from like a more general. We have Animorphs clip art now, and we just use it in all your projects.
Well, the computer on the Siberia card is 100% just clip art.
Yeah, and I mean, I look at this Tobias card, and it's just Tobias from, I think that's book 13, The Change, and then there's a clip art hourglass next to it, which sucks.
Yeah, that is really bad. So not great. So overall, letter grade for the art, the design of this game is like a D. Probably that might be generous. D-.
Right.
It's just not. You look at this, it's not inviting. You're not like, you don't see this on the table and go, "Wow, I want to play that game."
Yeah.
Cool. You don't get that feeling. But can you judge this book by its cover? That's what we always used to do, remember?
That is what we always used to do.
When we read books. We read a book this week, rule book.
Yeah, I guess that's a rule book.
It's not really a book. It's more of a pamphlet.
Yeah, it's all folded up. And
so we explained the rules of this game. We played it twice. We played it once
with the wrong
on the
rules.
Patreon with the wrong rules, and once with the right rules. Although I would argue, I mean, I think the way we played it the first time did and didn't really change much. I think it's just it's a faster way to play, but even the other rules don't take very long. It took what, maybe 30 minutes to play this game.
Maybe it's got to be less than that.
Probably 20, but somewhere in that range.
Yeah, it did not take a long time. I did think it changed it to some degree, like the way in which I was thinking about. I felt like the first time we played, there were a lot of times where I was just like, I just don't need to use any of these cards. I'll just go here, here, here. And the second time, that was a lot more like, well, I could use these cards and they would, in fact, actually stall a turn.
Again, this is when we were not having to stop to morph.
Yes.
We would just let us move, morph, and keep moving with our same die roll. Now, but I guess I'm wondering, did it really, in a real significant way, change your strategy, or was it just like, yes, it changed. You have to think a little differently, but when you really break it down, does it actually change any? Is it just delaying your decisions versus, you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like it actually adds decision space to the game that changes my opinion of it or my experience playing it. It's a little more deliberate, I suppose, but
on at least one occasion, I ended up deciding between whether I wanted to delay you a turn or get myself morphed to go forward, because I could only play 2 cards in a turn with a card that would not have delayed you in the other thing. So like it did sort of happen.
So the cards maybe,
yeah, but it was mostly the cards. Other than that, the pathing was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's probably a correct assessment that the cards are designed around that being true. The game. Now, this is a roll and move game, as we said, and it's a game from 1998. And you know me, as we said, my bona fides, I'm a real board game snob.
Right.
So I'm ready to tear this game a new one, baby.
Start tearing.
Games of this era, are famously not good. Particularly licensed games. And like I said, it's a roll and move game, which means it's right there in the title. In case anyone's a non-board gamer, we'll go over all this stuff. You roll a die, you move that amount. That is generally, viewed as that's the most egregious sin you can commit in a modern board game if you design a game that way. That's like, get that away from me. Like, my skin is crawling.
That does make sense, because like that is kind of...
It's a very old-fashioned... Generally speaking, it has to do with a game path that's very linear. There's very few choices you can make. Now, to this game's credit, you get to move up to the number on the dice. You just roll 1 die to move. So you don't have to move the full amount. And it's a small thing, but honestly, for games of this era, that is pretty big. Like, that goes a long way to improving the game.
Yeah, and I mean, like, even then, the morphing thing, especially if you have to stop, it does change that, because do you want to keep going down your current animal's path, or do you want to stop so that next turn you could go down a different animal's path? Like, that does change it a little. Yeah, that being said, even as a non-board gamer, I do hear what you're saying, where there is kind of this idea of like, okay, you're spending all this time like rolling. I gotta roll the dice to see how far I can move. Oh man. And then either it kind of doesn't really matter. You did all this rolling to just go where you're gonna go, or it did matter and it's all just based on these die rolls. And it's like, okay, did I get where I need to go, or did I not get where I need to go?
Yeah, I mean, there's just simply nothing fun about, well, I rolled a 1.
Yeah.
I guess that's it.
Yeah.
I can't go where I need to go. I'm done.
Yeah.
There is the axe card. That is the one thing that can help you. I'm not sure how many of those are in the deck. Our deck is 45 cards.
Yes.
The rulebook said 48.
Both of the decks that we had that were identical were 45 cards.
So I don't know if that's a misprint in the game or if we're missing cards. I don't know. I can't imagine it makes that big a difference. Maybe there's 3 extra axe cards in there that really help.
Yeah, I feel like in a modern game, it would give you like an inventory. This is how many you're supposed to have of each or something.
Yeah, I did. Seropedia told me something about This says there's 3 of each of the 6 different make the change cards. Let's do some counting. This is really good podcasting.
Oh boy.
So there's 6 different make the change because you have 6 morphs. So that's 18.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then I'm assuming there's also 6 wilds. Is that probably true?
Sure.
So let's just say that's true. So that's 24.
Sure.
Then it says there's, oh, sorry. I should have just read the next line. There's 9 wilds.
Okay. So it's 27.
27. There's 7 Viscera 3 moves cards.
Okay. 34.
Thanks.
You should not be relying on me for that.
This says only 2 axe cards.
What?
Really? That's what this says.
We probably used both axes every game.
So what is that, 36? What are we at? You've lost count already?
36, yeah.
2 Hork-Bajir attack cards, so 38.
Mm-hmm.
2 change back cards, 40.
Mm-hmm.
And this says 6 Siberia cards.
Okay.
And 2 Elemist cancel Viscera 3 cards.
Okay.
So we can go see, we can find out what we're supposedly missing. I wonder what we're missing.
We could. Wait, did you even mention Viscera 3 moves cards?
Yes, there's 7 of those.
Okay, yeah, you did. Okay, I remember.
This is some weird distribution, by the way.
See.
I feel like that is not enough axe cards.
No, not nearly enough axe cards. Especially, like, you know, I could see that being more of a limitation if you could play as many cards as you wanted. And it was just like, yeah, why not just spam axe? Why does the move even matter? But, like, with the limitation on 2 cards, I think that is a big deal. Like you don't want to use your axe unless you really need to use your axe, because what if I need to morph or something?
And I also think too many wild cards.
Yeah.
The wild cards should be special.
Yeah.
Why are there, I mean, there's more total of the specific animal cards, but yeah, that should be rarer.
Yes.
But here's the thing I'll say
in
defense of this game that maybe we're not considering. One reason you might want to use your axe card, even if it's not ideal, is because there are 6 Siberia cards someone could steal it from you.
Right.
And again, I think this is important, and we should talk about this now. We only played 2-player. Goes up to 4 players. If 4 players are playing this game, you will cycle through that deck. I don't think we ever did. I think with 4 players, you do it at least once per game. And you're more likely to see a lot of these cards in play. There's going to be more axe moving. There's going to be more stealing. So the cards will be like moving around. They'll be being reshuffled. So maybe it's more optimized for more players.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there were sections where we were just firing off steal cards every single turn. You know, and obviously with 2 players, I'm just taking your card.
Right. Right.
With 4 players, I might be trying to say, like, who do I think has been hoarding good cards?
Exactly. Yeah. Same with, you know, any of those targeting cards. Like, who do I need to worry about?
Right.
Versus this is just, that's the other guy.
Yeah.
So that's, I bet this game would be better with more players. I don't know.
I don't know if it would be.
Because it would also take longer. It would take longer.
Maybe.
But you would be competing more for spaces. And that's another thing. Like, rarely, pretty much in our games, we each just went to separate places and we're like, because there's 3 active at a time.
Yeah.
So there was more than enough for us to just be able to split them up. 4 players.
Yeah, you have to compete.
You're doing musical chairs a little bit.
But then you also do have the thing where you beat one and another location spawns. So, you know, and I think in our second game, I had a thing where I was trying to, like, you know, lock you out of one location and then beat the other one near you. And then, you know, to try to keep you off of something. And I just spawned a location right next to you. That was like the thing you already were and you wanted to, you know, okay, cool. Never mind that. So I wonder how much that would come up too, where it's just like, all right, I didn't need to. I feel like with 4 players, it might actually reduce the amount in which you're thinking ahead a turn, right?
Because it doesn't matter as much.
Yeah, because here I'm just like, I want to set up. I'm going to do this turn, and the next turn I'll do that. You know, with 4 players, it's like, boy, somebody's going to get one of these by my next turn, and then who knows? Maybe it'll be right next to me.
Yeah, and then that also might require a little more being more versatile with the morphs, because it's like, oh, well, I morphed a bear, but now that space is gone.
Yeah.
So I got to go somewhere else. Whereas for us, that was never really a problem.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess for me, the problem with all the wild cards was less even that it had a mechanical problem, and more that it meant that all of the cards with animals on them felt shitty. Right? Like you draw a card with a bear on it and you want to be like, oh, cool, the bear card, that's the one I need. But instead you draw the bear card and you go, oh, well, look at this piece of shit. I can only turn into a bear with this? Where's the wild card?
Yeah.
Better use that.
That should be where the strategy comes in a little bit, is like, you have to work with what you have.
Yeah.
But it just always felt like, well, if I don't have the animal I need, then I basically am just not even going to attempt it. Maybe there should only be even like just 2 more wild cards. Like they should be, I think, really rare, because then you are forced to be like, I have to go for the lake because I have a dolphin.
Yeah.
Whereas I was always just saying, what's closest? I'll figure that morph out. I'll get something.
Yeah.
Very
rare that you didn't have like a wild card, but I guess there are only 2 of us.
Yeah, still. I do think that makes a big difference, but that's also still the game's fault.
It is.
Like if you advertise 2 to 4 players, it should work at all player counts. I mean, I don't know if I should save all my house rule ideas for the end of this.
Probably.
Okay, we'll save it.
We can have a house rule section.
Yeah, we'll have a lot to say about that. I mean, did we discuss every aspect of this game so far? That's like the moving around, the morphing, the battles themselves, the missions are just rolling 2 dice. You get to roll 2 now. Trying to, you know what it's a lot like? I'm sure I don't know. I assume you played this game when you were a kid. The Pokemon Master Trainer game?
I did, but I barely played it. I had it, and I did a lot more of that thing where you're just like, look, I have the Pokemon little Pogs or whatever they were, and you can place them on the map, and I could go here and I could catch one. I did that a lot more than play it, because to play it, I would have needed a friend.
That is so sad. That is one of those games, at some point, my parents got rid of all our old board games.
I must not.
I think they're...
maybe I do.
I think they're kind of expensive now to buy used.
I should look.
But man, I have so many old board games that I would kill to still have now to play with as a joke for how bad, just see how bad they were. I hate my parents.
I know I
fucking hate them.
I know I still have a Lord of the Rings Risk. It's just Risk, but the map is Middle Earth. I still have that.
That one sucks.
Oh yeah. No, that one sucks for sure, but
no interest. Of all the great Lord of the Rings board games.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Pokemon game was similar in execution to this, where there were all Pokemon all over the board. You needed, when you found one, you had to roll some number to catch it. I think it was the same, like you either did or you didn't. And then once you needed a team of 6, and then you could challenge the Elite 4. And I think then you had to like beat 4 in a row or something.
Okay. But I thought maybe it was just for the Elite 4, because the Pokemon that you had definitely affected your rolls to some degree. Like they each had a number on them, right? And so it would be like, I get plus whatever to my roll. And maybe that was only for the Elite 4, right? Like the Elite 4, you have to beat a 30 or something. So you have to get
I would believe it was better than this game.
But yeah, maybe it doesn't work for the catch.
It had illustrations of Pokemon on it.
It sure did.
That's an immediate bump up.
Oh my god!
But I
want it.
But yeah, roughly the same idea. It's which I guess is every board game. You run around and roll dice.
Yes, I mean the big difference, which I think you kind of mentioned earlier when we were playing about like a potential for house rules, is that when you got Pokemon in that Pokemon game, you had them, and it mattered which ones you had. Whereas here, it's kind of like you need to beat 3 missions. It doesn't really matter which 3 missions you beat. It doesn't really matter that you've beaten 0 or 1 or 2. All that matters is, have you beaten 3 yet? So like it kind of matters that you beat 2 because you're close, but you're not any actually better off if you never get your 3rd.
Yeah. I mean, it's very possible in this game if you just have bad luck on the dice rolls, everyone else might have 3 and you have 1, and you're not going to win. Like the game is over for you. Because again, there is no, other than choosing a morph, there's nothing you can do to improve your odds. There's nothing you can do. It's not like, oh, if you're behind, you get a little bonus, or there's nothing. It is a pure race, and if you are behind, you're behind, and that's just what these board games were. It's like Trouble or any of those where it's just sorry.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, the fact that you can disrupt your opponents with cards, and the fact that you only get 2 cards per turn, so you might have to choose between, do I want to teleport across the map, or do I want to, who do I want to disrupt? Everybody? Do I want to steal a card, or do I want to put Visser 3 in front of you? I think that could give you some element of...
Elemist?
Yeah, there is an element. The Elemist is the one who blocks Visser 3's movement.
Yes.
But there is some element of like coming back from that.
And I think that's something that also would be more effective with 4 players.
That's probably true.
Because then it's not just my job to stop you. Somebody else can do it. While, like, ideally in this situation, I'm trying to catch up. Meanwhile, player 2 can afford to slow down player 3. And I can use my cards to help me or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. And, the games that we played, we were close. Like, we didn't really have a game where somebody just got totally blown out.
Yeah. I mean,
even though I think both of us had situations where we just rolled like shit 5 times in a row, it was fine because the other guy did that at one point.
But it's just random. Like that, we happen to have that happen to us twice, but someone might roll a 1 every turn on every roll, like that's what happens when you rely on dice in a game.
Yeah. I mean, I do agree in general that I don't necessarily think this is particularly skillful, but I do like having randomness inserted into it. Because if you have too much like pure skill in a game, then it's kind of just like, okay, well then the guy who's like 5% better just wins, and fuck that. Right. It's a lot more interesting when you're like, yeah, the new bad player could still win. And a lot more of the skill, it's less like, oh, I'm trying to do this exact series of things to get to this exact place deterministically, and a lot more like my skill goes into managing risk, right? Like, how bad could things go? Let's avoid that, or something like that. Do I need to just assume things will go well? Let's do that. And I don't think this is a game like that, but I'm not inherently opposed to the idea of luck playing a major factor in a game. In fact, I usually prefer it.
It depends on the game. I mean, I think there are great games that are virtually no luck, but I tend to prefer. There should be some. Luck is maybe even too. There should be some element of. I think the term I would use is unpredictability. So like a deck that you don't exactly know what's going to come out, or whatever. But again, in this game, it is solely driven by the dice. Like it's not like, oh, there's an element of randomness to it. Like that is the only element. And it can generally when you're dealing with a dice game.
Yes.
The name of the game that you need to have to make your game palatable is dice manipulation.
Yeah.
There's in modern versions of these, there's always, you can get this card or you can get this thing that bumps your stats up. But yeah, it's just, I just rolled a 2 and I'm fucked.
Yeah. Other than Axe, who is just a direct double it, which means it almost always is good enough. Like double is just so
and only
strong.
For movement.
And only missions. For movement, not missions. There is no way to directly interact with the random component of the game, right? Like as I was saying before, your luck management, your RNG management is entirely based on tempo, right? Like I think that my opponent will get unlucky and I'll get lucky. How bad is it if that happens? I better detempo them. I better plus tempo but there's no like, can I affect my opponent's luck? Can I affect my own luck by adding an extra die or taking away their die or subtracting from that roll or something like this? No way to directly engage with that. If it were a card game, which we'll play a card game next week and we'll see, like you might be able to say like, oh, maybe you look at the top card of your deck and then you can shuffle it or not, right? Kind of thing. Like you can directly engage with that. Or maybe you can't. Maybe the game won't let us do that. We'll find out. And I think that that is a big deal in terms of making the dice feel bad. Because even if you can play around it, it feels like, yeah, but the die still just was shit. I couldn't make the die good.
Yeah. And they're also just, they're just D6s.
Yes.
It's not, they didn't even do like, oh, there's an Animorphs symbol.
Right.
And you need like... I don't know how long I can go without trying to fix this game as we just without like just running out of things to say.
Sure.
But like as an example, maybe you roll a certain number of dice, and maybe they're still D6s, but instead of just pips on them, there's like 2 Animorphs symbols, and it's like if you get one Animorph icon, you pass. And it's depending on like, oh, the eagle gets to roll 4 dice in this one. Now that's like essentially this probably balances out to the same thing as just rolling D6s with numbers. But it feels, to me at least, much more. First of all, it's not just numbers. You're like, oh, Animorph symbols. Like that means something in the context. Or maybe it's an eagle symbol. There's eagle dice you get. Maybe eagles have more faces on them, so an eagle's better or something. It just feels more interesting and like you're doing something and thinking about something than just something about just the 1 through 6 or 1 through 12 that you can get. It's just so boring. It's just such a mundane, it's every game ever made. There's nothing special about it.
Yeah, I mean, I can see aesthetically how that is more fun because you're like, yeah, I'm an eagle, so I get to do, or like it's got the animals. I will say mechanically, if it worked out to the same thing to me, I would still just see it as numbers. Like I might have fun with it, but at the end of the day, I'd be like, yeah, that my chance is this.
Well, then I think you have more room to have cards and stuff that could be like, get an extra die.
I mean because that is the real thing is that
there's
like
a different symbol on it that's like, well, you didn't pass, but you get to draw a card or something. You can do stuff with it.
Yeah, because that's the other thing is it's not going to work out to the same thing because like having 1 die or 2 dice or 4 dice is just going to give you different distributions. Like you're not, even if you're getting the same number, this curve is going to look totally different. It's going to be very difficult to make the same curve over different numbers of dice just because of the way you're engaging with it. And that is a more interesting way to engage with it, I think.
Now we are really analyzing this game.
We are so fucking far away from the actual experience of playing this game.
And what the designers ever intended anyone to... If we could only see anonymous Milton Bradley employee number 72... they'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I shit this out in 10 minutes.
It's not for you. You think an 8-year-old gives a shit about fucking random distributions?
What about the, we covered the aesthetics, but like in terms of the theme itself, we already said, the board looks like shit. Turning into an animal doesn't really feel like turning into an animal. They do have those missions, and the missions do have a little flavor where it's like, oh, you're sneaking into Chapman's house, or you're finding the Yerk Pool entrance. You're helping Axe make his phone call at the observatory. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, so I that was probably one of my favorite parts was being able to read the description of the mission that you're rolling dice to do. They are
nailed that.
Almost all from books. I think there's one that isn't. The Gardens or whatever is
was the Visser 3 is acquiring wild animals. You have to stop him.
Well, the problem is if they wanted a Gardens thing, it would have been Visser 3
is riding the Tunnel of Love.
Yeah, that's right. He's in the parade.
He's going down the log flume. Get him.
Yeah, I mean that is what happened in fucking book 14. So it's
good stuff.
They're all from books. They're all from relatively early books too. Is there anything that's even post book like 10?
Well, I always can never remember if we're in 1998. That's pretty early.
That is pretty early.
I mean, that's the TV show though was out. It always feels like the TV show should be much later than it actually was.
The TV show
that was like mid-teens.
Would have come out like mid to late teens. I think, yeah.
So I think that's probably where we're at, like maybe by book, or maybe at book 15 or so.
Yeah. I mean, let's see here. We've got book 2. We've got book 6. I've got book 4. I've got book 3.
Keep going.
Here's one that's the Visser 3 one. How many? Because I feel like they did this. No, I think they only did this in one book. Enter the secret passageway to the Yerk pool through the dressing room mirror. Was that Megamorphs? Because I think they only did that once.
Okay, listen. I mean, I'm assuming this game came out. I don't really know when. You know what? Book. We were post. It depends. They were probably around book 15 when they made this game, is my guess. Book 15 came out January of 98. That's the Escape. So I'm assuming that it was at least like a few months of development time, or not even development time, but like from design to release.
No, it was book 7, The Stranger, when they were in the...
I'm glad you figured out whatever you're talking about.
Gotta be it.
So yes, they were like at most they were maybe at like book 18 when they made this game. So that's kind of the limit of their lore pull.
So just looking through here, 9 is the latest book referenced.
But again, kind of disappointing between all of these video games and this game. Next week's a little different because I think that's going to be more TV show focused. That how, okay, the Game Boy game, we did get Lyrans and we did get Howlers in the PlayStation game.
Yeah.
But none of these use Visser 1.
Yeah.
That could have been a card in this game or something. You don't get to play as Axe. Why? Why can't you play as Axe in this game?
Yeah.
Why? Because they didn't have a photorealistic picture of an Andalite to put on a lenticular card, I guess. Because they thought, kids can't relate to an alien. They have to be kids. Tobias is a bird, so you want to be a kid.
Axe isn't one of the Animorphs.
And Tobias can't morph. Like at this stage, he could morph.
Yeah.
The Elemist is even referenced in this card game. That's kind of weird too. What do you think about that?
That is kind of weird. The Elemist stops it. The real issue is that everything in the game does feel like references, right? Because it's like, okay, I like that this is telling me you're going to do the plot from book 6 now or something like that. That's cool. But like all that really means for the game is that it's better to be a kind of morph that might be able to do that. And that's not even like necessarily true, right? Where, it's because like there's the one where it's like be in an earth mover and crush a bug fighter. You know who did that? Marco is a gorilla. You can't be a gorilla. So like you can't do the thing that was in the book. The location on the board doesn't look like the actual location where you'd be doing that. It doesn't matter that you've done the missions from book 2 and 3 and 4. It just matters that you've done any 3 missions. It all leads up to fighting Visser 3, at the EGS tower, which doesn't have anything to do with any of these. There's not some like, it doesn't feel like it matters that they've referenced the book. It's just like that. Yeah. I mean, even just having like, instead of putting the lenticular thing in your stand, imagine that you had a card and you put it in your little standee, so you changed yourself to a bear on the board itself. Even that would have made such a huge difference in feeling like you're actually doing the Animorph thing.
That would be cool. I mean, literally, they could have just used these cards and just given you a stand that they sit in.
True.
And then you just have one human one.
Yeah.
I guess they're not double-sided, but...
Might be kind of hard to see what animal you are sometimes.
Oh, man. I don't want to damage the card, but you could do that cool thing, with your, like, planner notebook cover in school where you scratch it and make a little squeaky sound. I think people hate this.
I think they probably love it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's doing it.
Anyway, what were you talking about? Oh, yeah, how bad the game is. Yeah, you really don't get that sense. Now, are we... Maybe if we were kids, we wouldn't be as harsh, and maybe you would kind of... it would be enough, maybe, for you to go, oh, I am Jake, and I am doing this mission from the book. Would you
yes.
You'd be more willing to put that effort in?
100%. Yes, easy. I'd be like, I want to play the Animorphs game because it's got Animorphs.
Yeah. It really doesn't matter. I mean, would this game have been better or make more sense if you just had Tiger or just Bear? Like, the tiger, bear, and elephant are just redundant with each other. I know you need elephant for Viscera 3, but it could just be tiger. Like, it doesn't...
Yeah.
They don't add anything that's different from each other. Well, no, you do need more options for the possibilities on the missions. That's really why. Because otherwise, if half of your choices were just tiger, it'd be too simple.
Yeah, I guess.
That's the only real thing. And I guess it would be too annoying to make like paths for each. There's the elephant path, there's the tiger path.
Yeah. You know? I don't know.
I don't know. I wonder how they came to that. Did they decide we need 6 morphs first? Or what did they do?
Because I don't even know that you do need that many. You know, I don't know that it matters that much that you can switch between the tiger and the bear, right? Like saying, okay, the dolphin and the bird and the ant, and then your main battle morph and the elephant all have to be different because they have different paths. That makes sense to me. But like the idea that's like, yeah, I get to use the same path for the tiger or bear. I just have to swap back and forth between them based on what's going to be good here is, I don't know, that feels silly to me.
Yeah.
And it often doesn't make any sense why a tiger should be better than a bear at whatever it is they're asking you to, or the other way around. So like, why?
Only like a dolphin and eagle kind of make sense when they're used. Ants make sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah, bear, elephant, and tiger are just interchangeable.
Yeah, I don't think they needed to do all that.
I guess, okay, elephant at the used car dealer. You crush the cage.
And I do think that elephant should be a separate thing, because if you're saying like you have to be an elephant for the final boss, then like maybe there should be a reason why, you know, you wouldn't just always be, you know what I mean? Like maybe you would be a tiger and then you would turn to elephant later, right? Elephant's more medium. I don't know.
What else do we need to say about this game? I mean, besides how to fix it? The game as it stands, is there any part of this, did you enjoy playing this game? And would you play it again? Would you recommend that people play it?
Different answers to those questions.
Okay, great. Let's hear them all.
I mean, I enjoyed playing this game. I wouldn't play it again. I definitely wouldn't recommend anyone play it. I mostly enjoyed playing it because I had never played it before. I came over here, I sat down, I opened it. We played I guess 2 short games for the podcast, and we're like, cool, done. Never have to think about it again, right? That's fun. I did it. I did the Animorphs game. If I, you know, like, let's say that I have a younger sibling and they're really into Animorphs, and my family's like, you have to come play game night. And my younger sibling's always like, let's play the Animorphs game. I am sick of this by week 2. I'm like, fuck off with that game.
Okay. So, do we give IGN scores for board games?
I don't know. Well, it can't be IGN.
No, yeah, it'd have
some
to be
other
Dice Tower awards. I don't even know what they rate out of. I think he rates out of 10. Still, so it's the same.
I don't know what I rate out of. It might not be the same scale.
I do think so. Overall, it is a pretty classically mediocre 90s kids board game. It's what you'd expect. It's roll and move. It's random dice rolling. Not many choices to make. Not much agency. Not thematically inspired. Standard kind of a game. Mm-hmm. Having said all that, it's, you know, it beats Candyland. It beats... I'd play this over Monopoly. I'd play this over Trouble or Sorry. I think it is better than many of those kind of classic kids board games that suck. I would much rather play this with my 6-year-old niece and nephew than fucking Candyland.
I mean, that's
Shoot me in
fair.
the head, or Uno even.
That's fair. There is a question of like, what are you comparing it to? For sure.
Right. I mean, I'm not comparing it to a Kanban. I'm not comparing it to Caverna, you know? I'm not comparing this to, say, terraforming Mars. That would be ridiculous. Anyway, right, I was talking about my thoughts on the game. So it's points in this game's favor. It's playable. There's not no decisions to make. There are some things that happen. You might get cards and have to, like you said, decide, should I play it now? Should I save it? Which path should I take? It's not a totally linear route. Mm-hmm. There's many routes. You have to decide which animal you want to take, or whatever. There are things to think about. It's not super long. So even if it's not the best game ever, it's like, well, it'll be over pretty soon. Yeah. And then you can move on with your life. The Animorphs theming is light, but it is still at least based on something we enjoy. Like there's enough of it's a thin layer, but there's something to it. A little bit. Yeah, so it's not the worst game, but it certainly is not something I would play again. I am, though, a little, even though I expect the results would not impress me, I would play this again with more players.
Okay.
I am curious enough to want to know what that experience would be like. But will that opportunity arrive? Maybe. I don't know. It's not something I'm, because also then you have to convince other people to play it with you,
right?
And then you
not
have
for
to
the podcast,
yeah. And then you have to you have to look them in the eyes afterward, and yeah, I made you do that.
Yep,
that's what we just did.
They don't even get cameos, like on our podcast. They don't get to come in and be a little.
We should go on Cameo. Do you think people would buy from us?
Oh boy. We'd be raking in the dough if we did that. Yeah, you mentioned Uno, and that did unlock a memory, which because my little brother was a big fan of Harry Potter growing up, and he had Harry Potter themed Uno cards. And he fucking loved it and always wanted to play Uno with them, even though it was literally just Uno, but there were pictures of Harry Potter characters on them from the movies, and that was it. And this is better themed than that, which is like 100%. 100%. If you're into Animorphs and you're that age, it doesn't really matter. You're going to fucking love it.
I have played Mario Uno with my niece and nephew.
Okay.
I think they have a Disney Uno as well. Yeah, pretty fun. Uno. What a game. Animorphs Uno. So I have a lot of ideas on how to fix this game.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would, and you know what? That's maybe my other reason I want to play this game again, is to see if I can fix it.
Get some house rules in here.
Yeah, because I feel like there's the possibilities. This is almost like we were saying, if I could only mod the Animorphs Game Boy Color game, how what could be?
Which we could, but we're not going to.
Theoretically, we'd have to learn how to do it.
Yeah,
I'm not doing that. I want to go through every rule of this game and tell you how to fix it. Which there aren't that many rules, so it wouldn't take that long. Like right away, roll to move.
Mm-hmm.
You should have speed based on what morph you're in.
I mean, you sort of do.
You sort of do. That's effectively, I suppose you're right, because of the way the paths are spaced out differently.
Mm-hmm.
But you still have to deal with the die roll. And the thing is, even if it functionally worked out to be the same thing or roughly the same, it just feels 10 times better as a player and it helps you too, to be able to predict what's going to happen on your turn, at least in terms of your movement. Like there should be, whatever you think about randomness, there should be some baseline of, I will be able to make this happen on this turn or try.
Mm-hmm.
And so to that extent, I would almost do away with this fucking different paths, because it doesn't make sense anyway. Like it doesn't, not like there's logic to it. I mean, the dolphin is the only.
Yeah, or like you do one or two extra paths where it's like if you're the ant, then you can take this path here.
Yeah,
but only to like Chapman's house or something. Like it's like one extra square or something.
Little shortcuts.
Yeah,
but there shouldn't even. I would go back to the even more basics. these shouldn't be the morphs that you even have.
Mhm.
Dolphin
Yeah.
shouldn't be a basic morph because it's not useful in 90% of the areas you're in.
Mhm.
Maybe there's like one spot that lets you be the dolphin or something. But yeah, it should be, the paths should all be neutral. And it's just, well, if you're eagle, your speed is higher, but there's a drawback maybe, or maybe none of the missions are good for eagle. So maybe you always have to change from eagle. And by the way, it should be, you should get different birds depending on which animorph you are.
100%. Yeah. I mean, the same thing with the bear, tiger, gorilla. You should have your eagle, osprey, hawk, falcon, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. As I started talking about it, I realized it's slightly more complicated to adjust than I thought.
Yeah,
but
you can't house rule it into having a different actual
house
map.
rule into being a different game. But there's got to be something with the. I don't know. Maybe you have a base. What if you had like a baseline 3 movements,
Mhm.
and the die roll could add to it, or
Mhm.
something like that, just to. I don't know. Like that would probably break the game because then you could move really far or something. But who cares? The rolling to move just sucks. It's just not fun.
Yeah, I mean, you could just have a baseline move in this. You could just take out roll to move, have a baseline move, and then just kind of count how long it takes to get places and see what makes sense. Should it be 3? Does that make sense? Should it be 4? It probably shouldn't be more than that or too much less. 3 is
Maybe-
probably right, but I don't know.
What if you keep the separate paths, but instead of the individual points, it's like the ant can move on only one line to another spot, but the eagle can move like between 3 locations.
Yeah, I mean,
You know what I mean?
if you're I mean, if you're changing the map, my immediate first thought is fuck these like paths with spots. Fuck movement. There's something to do on like every single thing. You know, be it get a morph or get a card or do this or do a mission. And then, you know, if you have different paths, it would be like the eagle can just jump straight from here to here. The ant has to go do 3 things on their way or something like that, as opposed to just being like, I rolled for turn, I got a 1, I moved 1 space. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah, that is a big thing about this game. If you're not morphing or doing a mission, everything else is just filler.
Mhm.
There is no other spot of interest on the board. There's no, an encounter.
Yeah.
Somebody appeared. There's not a shop you can go to. It's very boring.
Mhm.
So yeah, I guess fun to, if we're trying to figure out movement, you almost do just have to change this map completely. Like it has to go.
Yeah.
Now maybe, or what about this? Just, I mean, another fix is more axe cards, more types of cards that help you with your dice. Maybe you get 1 reroll each turn.
Yeah, honestly, adding in a card that just says like, because I feel like axe is not what you want, right? Like if you double it, it almost always just works, right? Like if you have a doubled axe, it's very rare that you can't just get exactly where you want to go, probably, because double is so much. Yeah, reroll sounds good, right?
Reroll is good.
Yeah,
that should be there should be and reroll is more interesting.
Add 1,
because now you have to.
2.
It's a risk.
Yeah,
because you might roll worse or the same.
Yeah,
versus just like this is just good.
Yeah, or you know, and it could even just be good and be like roll 2, take the best one or something, like, because it's like you do have a limit on cards you can use. They can be good, you know, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, there's a million board games that have a million different that have solved this problem,
and those would be way easier because you could make those cards. You could just print out your own cards and say fuck it.
Yeah. That would be pretty good.
You would not have to remake the map.
Here's my next pitch. That's maybe a little more. We'd have to do a little more, maybe.
A little more than change the whole map.
Well, no, maybe, but I'm past movement now.
Okay.
Unless you want to talk more about movement.
No.
Here's another idea that came to me while we were doing this.
Yeah.
I think rather than, what if you had to acquire the morphs? What if you didn't start with all of them? And kind of like the Pokemon game we were talking about, maybe this is a way to, I don't really know. I don't know. I'm just spitballing right now. But I feel like there's something potentially interesting about the idea of having to go get the bear. Everybody starts with one. Maybe you get two animals and you get to pick which one you want to start with.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's a little more interesting than just, well, if I have the eagle, so it's like always the best thing. It's like, oh, well, I have the ant, so I got to make that work for me. Again, this probably just requires reworking of the entire game from scratch.
Yeah, because like right now you sort of have to acquire it by drawing a card that lets you morph into it. That's the closest you're coming to.
But that also, the thing is, so I think that's why I was thinking of this difference, is because that doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So what if it's like once you acquire it, you don't ever have to, there's no morphing cards.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can always be a bear if you want to be a bear. It just makes more sense. And again, I think mitigates the feeling of helplessness if you just need the elephant and you can't get it.
Yeah.
You might just be screwed. Even if you have 3 missions, that sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that also could, overlap with the, like, there's things to do everywhere. So, like, if I want to get to Chapman's house, I can go to Chapman's house, or I can like stop in Chapman's yard and I can draw a card. And if I draw the ant, I can go in as an ant. If I draw a cat, I can go in as a cat. And those might have different roles or whatever. But like you can kind of say like what might be here. You stop at the gardens to draw an animal card and see what it is, or something like this.
Yeah, definitely.
We'd probably have to add a lot more morphs to really get this interesting. But there should, like, why shouldn't there be a ton of morphs?
Yeah, that's the fucking game.
Yeah,
it's morphs.
Like maybe, honestly, if you think about like you're gonna draw cards in an Animorphs game, what do you think those cards are? They're probably like, it's kind of weird that like half of them are morphs and half of them are other like disruptive things, and the morph cards are really only your basic 6 morphs. Like, why don't you have like a basic 2 or 3 morphs, and then you can draw more morphs.
Mm-hmm. And then you could do player variants where, if you're playing as Rachel, maybe each person has a unique animal. Mm-hmm. So like only if you want to be a gorilla, only Marco has gorilla. There's just no other way to get it.
Yeah.
And gorilla has some ability so that everyone's not playing the exact same way.
Yeah.
There's an area only gorilla can go to, or this mission gorilla wants, or whatever.
Yeah. This mission is much easier if you're a gorilla. If you don't have gorilla, then you can do it, but you have to go get some other morph. It's not as good, but that means Marco goes there first, so it's probably fine. I don't know. A lot of ideas.
So much already. This is great.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this version of the game.
Let's make the board game.
I'm going to.
Yeah.
And then, same for the missions themselves. I think the easy fix again is we need more ways to improve your role.
Yeah.
There need to be cards that let you do rerolls or +1. When we were playing, I was thinking the missions you get, maybe each mission gives you a +1 to your roll if you've already, but that also could snowball because that means whoever's in the lead is doing better. But it's also a catch-up mechanic if you're behind and you get one. I don't know.
I mean, maybe you're going to get to this, but as far as the missions are concerned, I do wish that the missions that you had done affected it. Like saying I specifically did the gardens, I specifically did the construction site. That gives me a different advantage than if I'd done other missions. And it might be a different bonus, or it might be like this gives you a bonus but only on these missions here and not on these ones. You know, something that you're not just saying, well, I collected another card to put in my pile and now I don't care.
They should give you a reward.
Mm-hmm.
You should be able to, some of them should let you draw a card. What if there's one that's like, this one's really hard to do, but it counts for 2 missions. Mm-hmm. Or this one doesn't count for your mission, but it gives you like a super good reroll or an attack card or something. They're all functionally in the game. You do not give a shit about what the mission is.
Yeah.
Which animal do I need? Where is it? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you could even make the missions unrandom as opposed to being like, there's 3 of them. You could be like, you start with these. Every one you do unlocks other missions, right? So that you can go through. And then once you have to kind of like pick some kind of a path, but you could just midway through, you could just say, I'm going to go onto that path that other guy unlocked actually instead, or something.
There is a game called Tales of the Arabian Nights, where it's a kind of a storytelling game. It's very thematic. And each player starts with a personal quest. And so across the whole map on the board, it'll be like, in order to complete this quest, and there's a little story for each section, first you go here, then you go here, and nobody else can do it. It's just for you. Or I want to say in Arkham Horror, some editions of that game, there are also events where, you complete one thing, the next thing unlocks. So they could go much heavier in the story element and make you feel like, oh, it wasn't, the gardens actually mattered because, since I stopped Visser 3, now he's going after the sharks. Now I got to go to the beach. As opposed to just, I don't know, random.
And if you're going to make the missions story thing, it's not like I go here and there's a Hork-Bajir at the beach. I go there, I beat him. It's like, okay, you go to the beach. Why do you go to the beach? To spy on the sharing meeting at the beach. Why do you go to the ocean? To rescue Axe from his dome ship, Like, if you're going to put a story thing you're doing rather than a fight, then why shouldn't it be a story?
Well, now I think you're getting at a fairly common thing in modern board games where every time you play, potentially, you choose a scenario. So it's like, okay, we're doing the message scenario.
I see.
And the first part of the message scenario is these 3 missions are out and we need to complete them before the next ones come out, and you won't see those in other scenarios. So it's very thematic.
Yeah. I wasn't going that far because it feels like if you're going that far, now you're getting a lot more cooperative, which is another thing.
That was my next question.
I feel like, listen, I like both. I like cooperative games because there's no pressure and I don't play enough board games, but I do like competing. So I do think it is kind of weird that you're playing as the Animorphs and you're fighting each other.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like, there should at least be a cooperative mode, or like the ability to play as Visser 3 or something.
Oh, yeah, like one versus all.
Yeah, like or just like
just 1v1.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that it's like, okay, I want to fight you, so you're going to be Jake and I'm going to be Marco. If we're going to fight, then why am I not Visser 3 and you're Jake? Right? That makes sense. If we're both playing Jake and Marco, we should be, I don't know.
And by the way, the rule book does nothing to try to make this make sense. It just says, you're the Animorphs. You're trying to stop Visser 3. Whoever does it first wins. It's
Hooray.
It's not like, oh, you want to be the coolest Animorph. They don't give you anything.
Yeah, the Drode has shown up here, and he said the new leader of the Animorphs is whoever beats Visser 3 first.
We all know Tobias is the leader, so he's untouchable.
Of course.
Yeah, I all of my house rules and things I've been trying to implement so far are based on the game as it is. But if I were to make an Animorphs board game from scratch, it's always going to be cooperative. The version that I would want to play. It just doesn't make sense. Unless, like you said, you could do the Yerks versus Animorphs thing. That's a different thing that could work. But yeah, and maybe that wouldn't be that hard to house rule here either. You just say, I think it'd be pretty easy, honestly, to tweak it. You just say, we need this number of missions for this number of players. So you're all working together. And then once you have the combined amount you need, maybe each player can only get so many so that one person can't just do them all. Then you all have to go to EGS Tower and roll a high number together.
Yeah.
Something. I mean, that's a stupid version, but it's okay.
I mean, and then you start doing things like, okay, well, I want rules for Visser 3 moves to locations every time.
In between, at the end of your turn, he goes somewhere.
Yeah, he just pops over. And ideally, because there's too many missions in Visser 3, is that you might add a Hork-Bajir standee, but just the idea, because it's well, now I'm never going to move Visser 3 around. Why would I until I get there? So why do I need these move cards? Why do I care about that mechanic? Yeah, because he's fucking in the way. I need to move him out of the way.
And that's very Arkham Horror. You remember we played the Buffy Vampire Slayer board game where, at the end of everyone's turn, there's enemies on the board that move. And, the game has sort of a lot of games have this where there's some upkeep phase where the enemies are moving around and everyone has to deal with them.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be a real no-brainer to add that.
Yeah, and that would be very easy to do since there's already a Visser 3 move mechanic and a problem if he's where you want to be. So you just need to write a rule for how do you roll for that.
Yeah.
He goes to one of the 3 active missions, 1 to 2,
Oh,
3 to 4. There you go. Easy.
That's another thing that I was thinking that seems like, we were saying for our 2-player games that it was pretty easy to get what we needed.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like a very obvious rule fix. You just write, there's a number of active locations is 1 less than the number of players.
Yeah.
Then we would actually have to fight over them.
Yeah.
Like that's like the simplest change you can make, and instantly I think upgrades the game.
I'm curious because I do feel like there was some value in deciding whether to fight with you or go elsewhere. So I don't know about 1, but like I'm not opposed to the idea of saying like it caps at 2.
Well, so I was
something.
I was saying 1. Oh,
yeah, because with the 2 of us,
you're
there would
right.
be 1.
Sorry, yeah, that would be too few probably.
I guess caps. I mean the bottom cap.
Yeah, like 2. 2. Yes, only 1 would be too much. You're right. That was too few.
I don't know.
But yeah, two on the board, that'd be something interesting. It just seems like that's a no-brainer. That shouldn't be the same for all player counts.
Yeah, that is weird, yeah.
There's always 3 at a time. They obviously did not consider testing this with multiple player counts, because why? They don't give a shit. Why would they?
Right.
I guess I got out of my system all the big ideas I have. I mean, there's obviously so much more space for types of cards you could play, moving people around in different ways, forcing them to change morphs, throwing taxons at them or something. There's plenty of things you could do. There's obviously so many. If you actually start looking at other characters from the books, maybe you go to Eric King's house.
Yeah.
And you can use Pemalites for something. Why not?
I go to the Pemalite basement.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, like each location should have an action associated with it. Yeah. If you go to the school, like you get to draw cards because you're studying.
Yeah, I mean that is the thing. It's not even just the empty squares on the pathways. It's like if you go to the school and there's no mission at the school, then you just went there.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The gardens, you should get to do a free morph.
Yeah.
The beach, you can turn into the dolphin for free or whatever, without having a car. Even if just like each one had an animal associated with it, so you didn't need the morph card. Oh, the woods, you could turn into a bear.
Yeah.
Like, easy. Something. They could have made this game twice as good in an hour. Like, these sort of changes wouldn't even cost money. Like, it's just little things.
Well, nobody was really playing video games back then, so board games. Nobody was really playing board games back then, so they didn't know. They didn't know.
How could they know? They didn't know. Anyway, pretty good game. Yeah,
pretty good, I would say, on the whole.
Yeah. Also, we these card holders, by the way, that hold your active morph card. It's just a little cardboard thing, and they lean against it.
Yeah, I was.
What's the point of that?
I know. When we punched him out, I was like, "Oh, this is cool." I folded into a thing, and then it just didn't. I mean, I guess you put a card in it.
I mean, it helps you. Like, that would also be. Maybe you have a player board and you put the animal card on it, or like you said, it's your standee. There's more fun ways to do that. Now, the thing is, this game is really so generic. It's just like the move on a map, go to a place, roll dice. That's part of why I feel like my brain is working so much of the possibilities of it, because it's so bare bones. You could add so many things to make this feel like an enjoyable thematic Animorphs game. I guess the bones of it's somewhere. It is a start. It feels like a first draft of a board game that they never went back to.
I mean, yeah,
why would they?
I don't think there was a second draft here, for sure.
Let's see. There's some reviews of this game on Board Game Geek. User reviews.
Love the reviews.
Yeah, it was this game
has
has
favorite section.
This game has an average rating of 4.1 out of 10.
Sounds like, I think that's my rating.
It's recommended for ages 7 and up, by the way.
Yes, says on the box.
Oh, and the community also, they vote on what they think the game plays best at. And they say They say you shouldn't even play it with 2. They say 3 to 4 and best at 4.
Okay.
So
we fucked up.
We can tell. Well, what are we gonna do? Make other people play this with us? Like for the
we might
for the fucking
could happen.
Sank for the reputation of our podcast. They didn't give the Animorphs game a fair shake. Like who gives a fuck? Anyway, let's see. Here's what Crafty Alien says. Quick game with basic mechanics that feels pretty bland. Just plain old roll and move until you reach the goal. Feels like a dice roll race. Morphing is not quite convenient since there's not much differentiation between the travel paths for different species. And you're essentially ending your turn by landing on a morph space. So they've played it that way as well. Theme-wise does not stand out from games with similar mechanics. That's too bad. But they're the only person who seemed to really write anything. Found this at a thrift store and was stoked. I loved the books and thought this was a great find. Found the gameplay to be boring. I won pretty fast and my friend didn't have fun either.
Of course, he's not out here like we didn't have a good time. I won, of course. I want you to know I didn't lose.
Pretty terrible game by all accounts. I'm a big Animorphs fan, so it's fun to have. The morph cards look cool at least.
I mean, here's a question for you. Are you happy that you own this game and can put it on your shelf as an Animorphs fan?
Well, there was a question that when we're done with these games, I might just give them to you. Since you have the collection. Because there is a charm, like, for example, I also have, there's an older Buffy the Vampire Slayer board game from, like, the early 2000s that I got on eBay at some point. Maybe you've even played that one with me. It's an old one.
Possibly.
Which is also a roll and move that I kind of have for nostalgic value because I love that show. But that game is honestly it has some of the stuff I was talking about. You pick a scenario. It has unique enemies for each fight. The characters have unique abilities. You get weapon. Like there's way more going on in that game. So that's almost not a fair comparison. I mean, the audience for Buffy is older than Animorphs, so they're going to design a more complex game for it. Yeah, I mean, that is the question is like, do I, like this would definitely go in my closet. I wouldn't put this on because there's space on my shelf for real games. This isn't a game that anyone would look at and go, let's play that. You know,
you wouldn't display this alongside your Animorphs collection.
Right. Which I don't have, which this is it.
Yeah.
Do I have? No, I gave you the books.
Yeah.
I have no Animorphs collection. It consists. Oh, yeah, no, this is it.
Sad. Do you want some of your books back?
I don't. It's fine. I'm waiting for the reprints. Yeah. I don't. It's not like I said, it's not the worst game, but if I weren't doing a podcast, if this was just, I found it at a thrift store, I got it on eBay or something, and I kind of like Animorphs and whatever and tried it out, this would probably leave my collection. It would probably go to someone else. Because why, even if with like the house rules that we're talking about, you might as well just make your own game from scratch.
Yeah, I mean, you
don't need this board.
Yeah, I was thinking your house rules were going to be a lot less extensive. Like so many of them were like you need to print new cards, you need to redo the entire map. You know, it wasn't like, well, just tweak the way you do this.
That's the problem is I start thinking about, what if it was this, but it was more, it's not really a house rule. It's a redesign.
Yeah.
A variant, they call them, you might say. Yeah, like, but the like bare minimum, no pun intended. Like, make your roll and move something. You get a baseline like 2 movements, whatever, plus your dice roll. Make it so you get like 1 reroll on your missions, or maybe you spend a card. What if it's like any card? Spend 2 cards from your hand, get a reroll. And so, or you can make it like 2 of the same kind. So you have some more strategy with which cards you're collecting. We didn't even talk about that.
Yeah.
You can also, instead of taking your turn, you can just discard. The fuck? Sorry, my computer wanted to update. I had to tell it no. You can just discard your hand and draw 5 new ones. Neither of us ever did that, right?
No.
It seems like it's almost always the wrong choice, except maybe one time.
There was one turn where I thought about if I should do it, decided that it was not a good idea, and it might have worked out better for me had I done it. But I do think I stand by the fact that it wouldn't have been good. I think like that is you have to be like screwed scenario for that.
It's just giving up a turn.
Yeah.
It feels enormous. Terrible.
Yeah.
You can, we think you can play those cards that you just drew. So maybe you could, like if you're at a cube, I guess, and you're desperate for a morph, you could still morph. And then that's not a bad turn.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I think that's for when you're screwed, right? You're just like, I can't do anything. I can't like get anywhere. I can't do this morph. I'm so far away. I'm just going to do. And the one turn where I thought about doing it was where we were like one turn away from the end. And I was like, what do I think the chances John wins on his next turn are versus I can actually get there? Because if I'm going to end up behind, I effectively, quote unquote, can't win.
You're just gambling.
I'm just gambling, right? Which is, I mean, that's always what you're doing here. But
we did play for real money.
Yes.
And a lot of it.
Well, by my standards, it was a lot.
Yeah. There's so many things. I mean, you could change the drawing rule to you draw more and then you have to discard down. Normally, if you have a full hand, you don't draw any.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably house rule. You always draw at least one and then you discard down to 5, or you always draw 2. Even don't draw up to 5. Draw. Maybe just always draw 1, because you can only have a hand of 5, and you discard down because it does also suck.
Or discard first. Even you can just be like, well, you can play 2, so you can always discard down to 3 or something like that. At the end of your turn. I don't know.
It shouldn't be a give up a turn to draw a new hand. That's a stupid mechanic.
Yeah, if you have 5 worthless cards in hand, you shouldn't just be sitting around like, all right, well,
yeah. Because there were definitely a few turns where I had useless cards, and I was just like, I'm stuck with these.
Yeah.
Because there's not a good reason for me to use them unless he steals from me.
Yeah.
I'm not drawing new ones, and I'm not spending a turn to do it.
Yeah. And because that was also the thing is that, you might be like, yeah, but so many of them are morph cards. And that was the situation with me where it was like, well, I'm already an elephant and I got to get to the end boss and like, screw it. I have a handful of morph cards. They don't do anything anymore. Who cares? Yeah. I mean, you can have a handful of worthless cards. So I don't know.
There are, as we've laid out, a lot of little tweaks you could do without redesigning that would just improve the game.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that it would be better to completely redesign the game. But you work with what you have.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think... I think maybe this is still a better board game than the video games were video games.
That's maybe true. Probably true.
It's less ambitious.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, this is, it's not great, but didn't make me mad.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a horrible experience. Like I said, compared to other family games of this ilk from this time period, there's far worse ones.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I think if you compare those video games to other video games of that era, no, it is they are some of the worst ones.
I mean, that is quite possibly true, because the only one that I would have any question about that with would be Shattered Reality.
Agreed.
And I can't compare that to other platformers. I don't have that kind of experience. The only thing that seems objective there is that game has great music, and this game, like, you're not coming to this game for the art. So, like, whatever.
Yeah. I think I think this is absolutely, there's no question I enjoyed this game more than the Game Boy game or the computer game.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember what scores I gave any of these anymore, so it's going to be a problem.
We're not going to score them.
Okay.
This is a board game. They don't get scores.
Okay, good.
I think we're done.
I think you're probably right.
I'm surprised we even got this far. I thought we were going to be done at an hour because the game is just so... There's really very little to it.
We spent an hour talking about what you wish it was instead, and then there you go.
Yeah, that's all it took. So, I mean, again, if you are an Animorphs freak and you want the complete collection, this game's out there. It's not that hard to find a used copy. And, like, it's playable. If you love Animorphs, you could play it a couple times, especially if you have kids, maybe. You'll get something out of it. There's worse games, and the cards are cool. But, that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would not recommend like playing it, but if you are a collector, you want to put this on your shelf, then at that point you might as well open it up and play a game just for fun.
Here's something else I'll leave you with that's bizarre, that I don't fully understand, but I discovered this in the image section of the Board Game Geek page for this, which if people don't know, that's a big board game website, boardgamegeek.com.
Right, you've already talked about
Well, I realized I didn't really say what it was. So if anyone just thought I was having a stroke or something, no offense to people who've had strokes.
They hear Board Game Geek, and you're like, "What? Isn't that just you? What do you mean? What the Board Game Geek says?"
I love one of these images. These are all user submitted. One of them says, "Higher resolution of the board (parentheses readable." I guess you could call that readable. One of the images on this game's page is for a board
what the hell?
that looks like a French wartime board game. In the corner it says Jeu de l'invasion, which would be invasion game.
Okay.
And the caption of it says wartime version of game. And there are it's a weird illustrated kind of cartoony looking war game where there are numbered spots and it looks like you would move between them. There is one place which says Berlin. And are they suggesting that somehow the Animorphs game is based on this?
I don't think so. I think that
why is it here?
I think that what they are suggesting is that this game is also called the Invasion Game, and it got stuck on the page for the Invasion Game.
So it's just a mistake.
And they messed it up.
You don't think that maybe Berlin is interchangeable with the EGS tower?
I don't think that.
And at each spot you have a mission and you just roll to try to beat some Nazis or something?
I mean, maybe that's the case. I don't know what the French were doing back in the day.
There's a description in the corner that I'm not going to try to translate right now. Well, let's see. Maybe I will. Ce jeu se joue à trois. The player plays with 3 dice. Pour passer l'eau, il faut jouer to get through water, you have to play a card or something. I'm not. Why
like
am I?
Boat.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I just thought maybe there's some weird thing where actually this game is based on a French war game.
I don't know why you thought that.
Well, it's on the Animorphs page.
It's called the Invasion Game, and
right?
It's clearly not the same thing.
Maybe they made
a mistake.
People reskin games.
I don't think
with
that.
Other
I'm
themes.
looking at it. That is not the same.
They made some
series
tweaks.
Of pathways.
They tweaked it.
They tweaked it, and then they reskinned it.
You morph into.
First, they tweaked it so that it's unrecognizable, and then they reskinned it so it doesn't look the same either.
There's lots of examples of this happening in modern board games. We're going to have to do more research into this to figure this out.
Well, maybe you can do more research into this to figure this out.
By the way, did you play the secret axe mission in the Game Boy game?
I did not do that.
Because we promised the listeners that you would do that.
Oh, well, I didn't do that.
Well, if you want to watch our actual gameplay video of us playing through this game with the wrong rules, you can do that on patreon.com/theyerkyboys. And also, we have bonus episodes there every week. This week, we are discussing the journey of Alan Strange.
Strange.
The Nickelodeon show. And you can also email us, theyerkyboys@gmail.com. If you ever played the Invasion board game, do you have information on its connection to this Jeu de l'Invasion game? Or do you have any maybe tips or tricks or strategies or your own house rules that you would use to play this? Ooh, wow, fun. Let us know. Only a few shows left, everybody.
Yeah, we're closing in.
Stay tuned. Check me out on the web if you want. Follow me on Blue Sky @Quince, or find more other projects that I do. Like, you can see my old Roll for Crit board game videos.
Yeah.
Linked at jonathanestis.com.
Weird you never said that one before.
Well, because it's not active. Why would I'm not on it anymore? Why am I plugging something I don't take part in?
Yeah, fuck that. Fuck that channel.
That's right.
Thanks everyone for listening. Tune in next week when we will be talking about the Animorphs customizable card game on the Yerky Boys.